What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to an episode that I think that you all have been waiting for, which is what is Tuffy Talk thinking in terms of season predictions, y'all? We have this amazing season coming up here that we have been looking forward to for a very long time. And now here today, we're going to start diving deep into what our predictions are for this upcoming 2023 season here. So how it's going to work here is this is going to be split up into 3 parts. We have 12 games. We're going to do 4 games per episode. So for today, we're going to talk about UConn, Notre Dame, VMI, and Virginia, and then the next 4, and the next 4, and then you'll know what each of our season predictions are. And keep in mind that again, each of us here at each of the Tuffy Talk crew members will have our own predictions here. So with that being said, we're going to jump right to it here. And Greg, we got UConn starting off, and I picked you because you and I have the honors of going to UConn to put some NC State red in those bleachers at UConn. And so kind of give me your thoughts, man. Right now, I think NC State was a 15.5-point favorite for this game. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that dropped. I guess it dropped from like 17.5 to 15. I don't, those first games are always interesting because you just don't know how teams are going to come out ready for a game. I'm excited for it because, like you said, we are going to be going up to it. Maybe exact some revenge from our Lady Women Wolfpack basketball squad. The last time a team was up there, it wasn't in our favor. But I'm excited to see what this team comes out with. The whole new look offense. Everyone's been talking about it, and UConn's I think they're a good first opponent. Very similar to the ECU matchup last year, where we're starting on the road against an American Athletic Conference team. So you go do a road game, but it's not you're not going to Clemson, right? Like Louisville, I think did last year. So I think it's going to be a good first test, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So are you giving us a win for that? So yeah, give us your thoughts. Each of us give us your thoughts, and then win, loss. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we go up and get a win. I'm one of those guys. I'm not a gambler, so I don't really care about point spreads. Whether we win by 1 or win by 50, I really don't care. Just go give me a W, and let's get the season started off right. But I am excited about this new offense. I think the defense will hold them pretty good, and it's a UConn team that did make a bowl game last year, and they are making strides to be a better program. But again, like I said, I think it'll be a good first test, but we do get the win.
Yeah, Macon, what you got for us?
Yeah, I think State gets this win here. I'm trying to, I'm looking at who. Their coach last team. I can't remember the quarterback's last name and the coach's name from UConn, but they were pretty. They were a bowl team last year, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is a team that I think is going to have some guys return, like a lot returning, I believe, and going to be a good matchup for State. I think it's a good test. I know last year we I tried to figure out who's my litmus test. I don't know if this is it, but I think this is a game that can really set the tone for State going on. I don't see this being. I don't know if it's maybe less difficult, but probably less difficult than the ECU game, or maybe about the same. I don't know, but it's going up there on a road game to a mid-major school that's decent right now, and I think this could be a similar test to last year, and last year was really shaky, right? Although it was blazing hot and all that, but it was really shaky, and we only won that game on a field goal. Does that happen this year? I don't think so, but it is a Thursday night game, whatever that means for UConn, and it'll be interesting. I think State gets the win, but I think it'll be a good test for the guys early on. They can set the tone for how they're going to be this season. And I will say this too, with the matchup coming after that, which we'll get into, I think they need to. I don't want them to open up the playbook any more than they have to, right? So if they're opening the playbook, something's going wrong. So,
100%. Michael.
Yeah. So this we played UConn last year. It was at home, but we were 40-point favorites at home. So this is definitely a different UConn team than we played last year. They return a lot on defense. I think it will be. I think it's like the perfect game. Kind of, you're not playing an FCS team. You're playing a solid G5 team that should be a win. I'm going to give us a win. If we lose, then I don't even know what to think after this. But I think it will be a good test, especially for the offense. But still, I think our defense versus their offense is just going to be kind of suffocating. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them have a decent defense to go up against. And yeah, like Macon said, I mean, hopefully you don't have to bring out anything crazy on offense. You can just go out there and execute. But yeah, I'm going to give us a win.
Yeah, and I know, Macon, you were talking a little bit earlier about kind of the two quarterbacks, and so Taquan Roberson is the transfer from Penn State, who actually started for UConn last year, but then suffered a season-ending injury in the first game, and then Zion Turner, who was the backup quarterback, became the starter for the rest of the season. So that definitely had a lot to do with it. Now with Taquan Roberson, he was a three-star recruit heading into Penn State. And he was kind of on the bench from 2019 to 2021, and then transferred to UConn. So I think for UConn, who is a guy that, is a team that returns 4 offensive linemen. Their running back. They also too are heavily they lean a lot on their linebacking core, who I think Jackson Mitchell is their big linebacker that's got a couple of preseason honors in their conference. And so, I mean, it's a solid team for sure that I think, doesn't necessarily pose a threat in terms of, man, you got to watch out for this guy. Like there's nobody like that stands out to me in terms of watch out for this guy, but we can't overlook anybody though either. Just do your job, do what you're supposed to do, and then you come out there winning that game, comfortably by two or three possessions. But don't expect a blowout, especially with it being at UConn. I know they're very excited for this game, very very trying to really build this program up. So definitely can't overlook UConn whatsoever.
I'll add this too. I guess a little tip. So it was Jim Mora who's the coach there, and I think last year was his first year. So they're getting a second-year head coach to go up against them. And one thing's kind of interesting, you mentioned their conference. UConn's one of only 4 schools in the country that's independent. So State's going to have their first 2 games of the season against independent schools.
Interesting.
Oh, I thought they were part of the American Athletic. They're not then? I thought they were for some reason.
I don't think they are.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's move on here to
in basketball.
They're biggest for basketball. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Okay.
So that makes sense then.
My mistake then.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. So now let's move on to the big one, Notre Dame. Coming to Carter Finley, it's going to be a crazy environment. Again, the first time seeing the new scoreboard, the new sound system for Wolfpack fans. Noon game on NBC. So I mean, it's going to be a ABC. So it's going to be awesome environment. Looking forward to it. Sam Hartman coming back. Macon, give us your thoughts here.
Oh man, so I think Notre Dame's going to be a pretty good team this year. I think what's interesting is Notre Dame's going to have a new OC. State's going to have a new OC. Notre Dame's going to have a new quarterback. State's going to have a new quarterback. The good thing for both, I guess more so for State, I actually think in this situation is we know what Sam Hartman likes to do, and Sam Hartman knows us, but I don't know how much Notre Dame has. Maybe it's a little balance of both. I think it's going to be interesting to see how we figure each other out through that game. I'm going to be very interested to see how much we open that playbook up first game, because it is a non-conference game. It doesn't impact your ACC standings. It's a nationally televised game, and I think it's when we want to win, right? We're going to play it, but I don't know if we win this game or not, to be honest with you. I think we can.
Well, what's your prediction again? We got to give predictions.
My prediction is we lose this game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
All right, cool. Michael, what's your thoughts?
I think I've said it before. I mean, I'm not really scared of Sam Hartman coming in to Carter Finley again. Obviously, everything around him is better than what he had at Wake. Well, honestly, Wake receivers might have been better last year, but besides that, like his offensive line is going to be way better at Notre Dame, and the defense he's going to play is going to be better, his defense. So he doesn't have to. They don't have to rely on him taking shots all game. I don't know. It's this one. So Notre Dame has 2 games before us. I think Navy and some other FCS
Central
team,
Connecticut
possibly.
State, I believe.
Yeah, so they do have that advantage of there'll be 2 games worth of film. Well, it'll be an advantage for us for the film, but they will have 2 games under their belt, so they'll be a little more in the swing of things. But I don't know. Like I said, I mean, if you just it just comes back to the quarterback for me. Like Sam Hartman, I know they beat us in 2021, but he still was not good in that game against us. Our defense the last couple of years has figured him out, and he's been successful, but it's been in that Wake Forest unique offense. I'm gonna say a win for us. I think we pull it out just because.
Wow.
I don't know. I think we're gonna have the better quarterback, and sometimes it's all it takes.
Yeah. I'm gonna add this. I don't think Notre Dame fans, if they are believing in Notre Dame right now, their coach Marcus Freeman a ton. I think both schools, from like a offense right now and as a team this year, we're in a very similar spot. Not that they don't, not the view on the coaches, but just the team itself. Maybe the home environment is going to be a big deal and a big factor here. But I mean, Sam Hartman's played at State before, and so I don't know how that's going to impact. That's just another little tidbit I have there.
So for me, I mean, obviously Sam Hartman, it goes without saying, all NC State fans know everything that Sam Hartman has to offer. The biggest thing for me really is that I think, honestly, for Notre Dame, this is going to be the most well-rounded team that State faces all year. They from a running game perspective, they return Audrey Estime, who was the leading rusher last year, ran for 920 yards, 11 scores, averaged close to 6 yards a carry. And also they're also returning probably the best offensive tackle combination in the country, and Joe Alt and Blake Fisher, who I mean both are going to be NFL draft picks. So I think for me, the defensive line's got to put pressure on Sam Hartman. They gotta get into the pocket. They gotta find a way. And then on the defense side, I mean, they have an amazing linebacking core. A lot of solid defensive linemen. And then they have well above average secondary. So I mean, it's an all around team. There's no holes on this team really from everything I've seen. And then I think there's enough weaponry there on the wide receiver side that Sam Hartman, as talented as he is, and as much of a chip on his shoulder as he is to try and get to the next level, I think he's going to find a way to do it. So for me, I think that if State can go into this game and make it, a respectable loss all the way through to the end of the game, then you got to be happy with that if you're NC State. So I'm predicting that we lose, but I would say by between 7 to 10 points, if I had to guess. So a little bit more than one score is my prediction. Greg?
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. This is the first time that Notre Dame's coming back to Carter Finley since the Hurricane game, Hurricane Matthew, which, this is only the second time ever that Notre Dame has come to Carter Finley. So, there will be a pretty raucous crowd. Notre Dame will bring a lot of fans, obviously, since they're a national brand. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out for crowd noise based on the Sam Hartman situation. I'm kind of torn on this game because this is a Notre Dame team. Again, every year the team is different, but this is a team that lost to Marshall last year at home. Had a lot of early season struggles. Can they not repeat that this year? I don't know. Time will tell. Their first 2 opponents are kind of inferior opponents, so we will be their first, I feel like, real true test. Maybe that plays into it. And, Sam Hartman is turnover prone. He had 8 last year against Louisville. So like you were saying, if we get up some pressure on him, maybe force him into some errant throws, we've got a great secondary. That could be the key. I do like our chances at home. I'm like 50-50 on this, but I'm going to roll the dice and say we get a win. And we go 2-0 and we keep this train rolling.
All right, Michael Greg. Just keep in mind that if y'all predict 11-1 at the end of this, we're going to start calling you Mackenzie Blackwater. Okay,
I mean, someone's got to carry the torch for her since she's not on tonight. So
right.
if it has to be me,
for the
I'll
record,
do it.
Mackenzie would have predicted 12-0 anyway, so we're just gonna go with that.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to VMI, which for this one, I mean, we've talked like a minute each about it. Let's talk like 30 seconds about it. So, Michael.
Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this should be the easiest win probably in all of college football. I mean, it's VMI, they're FCS. Any good players they have are gone to the transfer portal, and nobody's transferring into VMI, so it's not like they can even rebuild with that. So, I mean, yeah, this should be the easiest win on the schedule.
Yeah, and then for me, I mean, the three things which I'll say is they lost their starting running back, they lost their leading tackler. Receiving wise, they didn't have a single wide receiver catch more than 2 touchdowns last year. They only had, and they didn't have a single one. They only had one guy that caught 2 touchdowns last year. Everybody else caught one. So they're very run heavy offense, which I mean, if there's something that Tony Gibson defense, one thing about, they're going to stop the run. So yeah, very easy win here. Not really looking too much into this, Greg.
For me, the most intriguing thing is this game is on the CW, so I will be at Carter Finley to watch the game, but I'm kind of interested to see how the CW broadcast looks and feels. Other than that,
good point.
I don't really have anything. It's VMI. They're a school much like the Citadel, though the Citadel is a much better program. And their football field, I've actually been to VMI. It looks like a high school field, so I'm not too concerned about this game.
Yeah. Macon, final thoughts on VMI?
Yeah, it's a win. So I just looked at the preseason votes. There's 9 teams in the Southern Conference, and they're picked to finish last. So I mean,
yeah, that's tough.
That's not good. I looked at they've got some good players. They've got a few guys. They got a couple guys on first team. They're DB and Alex Oliver and a punter. Got a couple guys on the second team. But there's no offensive skill players on any of these teams. That should tell you something.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a game where you want to see Brandon Armstrong, the first team for the first half, and then third quarter you play MJ Morris, fourth quarter you play Lex Thomas, and just see what you got for these guys. So, all right. So now finishing up with Virginia. So now it is up to me to start on this one, and Virginia is this is, besides VMI, this is the one I'm actually the most confident about, just because there's so many things about this game that's going in our direction. I mean, first and foremost, the Brandon Armstrong, factor. I mean, there's just no way that Brandon Armstrong would go back to UVA and lose that game. It's just not happening. Obviously VMI, we just played VMI the week before. So I mean, Brandon Armstrong should be pretty fresh. He's only going to, play hopefully half of that game. And then before that, they literally play at Tennessee to start the season, play James Madison home, at Maryland, and then us. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know what the spread is for JMU and Virginia, but if JMU is not favored, I'm smashing JMU.
They're going to be coming for blood in that matchup. I'm going to tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, because I mean it's in-state rivalry. I mean, even though it's not technically a rivalry, I mean they're in-state. So, and I'm saying JMU wins that game. And I think
agree.
if you go 0-3 each state, that's gonna be. Greg.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, you mentioned the Brendan Armstrong return, but this will be Coach 2J's return to UVA. I was trying to also look up to see if I was going to say if Syracuse. Virginia played at Syracuse last year, so yes, it will be a return for Anai as well. Friday night game, the first of back-to-back Friday night games that we'll have. So that's something that new. The last Friday game I remember we having was a torrential rain downpour against Virginia Tech years ago. So Fridays are going to be interesting. But again, I think this is a win for State. The UVA team is not going to be very good. They weren't very good last year. So a win for us, and I have us going 3-0 to start the season. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Wait, who goes 3-0?
Wait, us.
4-0.
4-0. Excuse me. Sorry. My apologies. 4-0.
Gotcha. Macon, go ahead.
Yeah. I think State gets the win here. Virginia, similar to VMI, they were picked dead last in the ACC to finish. They won 3 games last year. Won 1 game in conference. Granted, they had some stuff happen off, away from the football field that was terrible for them and messed everything up there. But, I don't think there's going to be much there. They got a new quarterback who has a sweet last name, Tony. And I think he's from Old Dominion, or where's he from?
Monmouth.
Monmouth, that's right. Tony Muskett, I think is his name.
Yeah. That's a good name for a quarterback.
Tony Muskett's a pretty sweet name for quarterback. They say he can throw the ball really well. I just I don't really know what to think about their team. I just don't know where their playmakers are going to be. I know they've got a running back from Clemson, Kobe Pace, transferred from Clemson to Virginia, so that'll be interesting. But it will be a win in my opinion.
And just to kind of add in, Michael, I mean, for Tony Muskett, I mean, he's a guy that transferred through for 5,700 yards in his 3 seasons starting for Monmouth, 51 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. So, I mean, a solid quarterback at Monmouth, but, I mean, definitely jumping up to Power 5 is different.
Yeah. Is Des Kitching still their OC there in Virginia?
He is.
That's
a great point. Yeah,
that's a win. Then.
That's all we need to know.
I'm marking that as a win.
love Des Kitchings.
No offense, but
I'm gonna add too. I think UVA. My notes here said they run a 4-2-5 defense, and it's going to be interesting. I know we ran that a few years ago. I don't know if there's any learnings we have from that, but it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah. I think Virginia's going to be very bad again this year. I mean, I would not be surprised if they fired Tony Elliott after this year.
Wow.
I mean, just
really, I'd be surprised they fired him after last year. What happened?
No, that's a quick
hook. Why though? If he's bad again, almost just like clean house and kind of start the program over. I mean, this
is only his second year though, right?
I mean, they have a legit shot at going 1-11 or 0-12. I mean,
who's
they have
their
a
wins on
legitimate shot at it.
I wonder if they've even got on their schedule.
They're going to be bad.
So they play, so they play Tennessee, then they play James Madison, at Maryland, NC State, at Boston College, William and Mary at home. So if you're going to find a win. Yeah. But I mean, William and Mary's no pushover. And then bye week, they play at UNC, at Miami, Georgia Tech at home, at Louisville, Duke at home.
Georgia Tech might be a win. Georgia Tech.
You could see, honestly, maybe they could get up for the Virginia Tech game at the end of the season. That might be, because Virginia Tech's not very good either. It's at Virginia.
Oh, yeah, Virginia Tech.
So, it ain't looking pretty for them. So
by that time, you could have more Hokie fans than Cavalier fans in the stands.
Well, true.
Probably.
You probably will anyways, because Virginia Tech fans are pretty good. So
that's true. They love their football. So
they do.
All right, Wolfpack Nation. So that ends part 1 there, y'all. So just as a recap, got Greg and Michael predicting State going 4-0 through these games, and then Macon and I predicting a loss to Notre Dame, so 3-1 through the first 4 games. So tune in for part 2, where we continue talking about Louisville, Marshall, Duke, and Clemson. So we'll see y'all for part 2. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this prediction, hit that like button, and also give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll see y'all for part 2, and go Pack.